File item 275, AB 1164. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1164 by Assemblymember Gatto, an act relating to highways.
Assemblymember Gatto, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a good bill. It would require Caltrans to improve our highways. I ask for a vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 65, no 0. The measure passes. Colleagues, we're going to pass and retain file items 276, 277, 278, 279. If we could call file item 280 for amendments, AB 1235. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1235 with amendments by Assemblymember Gibson.
Mr. Gibson, you may open on your amendments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Members, these amendments seek to clarify the original intent of AB 1234 and is consistent with the suggestions from the Assembly Health Committee. I respectfully ask that the amendments be adopted and the bill go back out to print and on to the file.
Ms. Waldron.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We support the amendments.
Okay. Seeing and hearing no further debate, we can take a voice vote on these amendments. All those in favor of the amendments, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. The bill is out to print and back on file. We're going to pass and retain file items 281 and 282. Moving to file item 283, AB 1269. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1269 by Assemblymember DeBobne, an act relating to alternative energy.
Mr. DeBobne, you may open.
Mr. Speakers and members, at the urging of my colleague from Glendale, I will keep this short. AB 1269 is a straightforward bill to extend the sunset date until 2021 for sales and use tax exclusions for high-tech manufacturers. Since this program was instituted in 2012, approved projects will generate nearly 3,500 jobs and create over $150 million in fiscal benefit for the cost of just over $77 million. That's nearly double. This exclusion sunsets in 2016, and by extending it, we are simply providing sufficient planning horizon for businesses that might use the program. I would also like to thank our State Treasurer, John Chung, for his leadership on this issue, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 67, no 0. The measure passes. File item 284, AB 1274. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1274 by Assemblymember Mark Stone, an act relating to public lands.
Assemblymember Stone, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, this bill updates the California State Lands Commission's authority to issue permits for geophysical surveys, thereby better protecting our coastal resources. I ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 61, no 0. The measure passes. Moving to file item 285, AB 1289. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1289 by Assemblymember Cooper, an act relating to community safety and policing.
Assemblymember Cooper, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 1289 requires a commission on post to conduct a study of community policing and engagement programs, efforts, strategies, and policies in the state and report its findings to the legislature by December 2017. I ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 67, no 0. The measure passes. File item 286, AB 1299. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1299 by Assemblymember Ridley Thomas, an act relating to Medi-Cal.
Mr. Ridley Thomas, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to present AB 1299, which will require the Department of Health Care Services to issue policy guidance that establishes the presumptive transfer of responsibility for providing or arranging for mental health services to foster youth when they transfer from one county to another. We know how critical many of us have worked to ensure access to quality mental health services. We do not want a prohibition on the delivery of those services simply because a foster child or a young person in foster care crosses county lines. This is a common sense measure, and we would respectfully request an aye vote. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes, ayes 69, no 0. The measure passes. File item 287, AB 1305, the clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1305 by Assemblymember Bonta, enacting into healthcare coverage.
Mr. Bonta, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 1305 requires health plans and insurers to include per individual deductibles and out-of-pocket limits for each individual in a family plan or policy. This will save some families thousands of dollars in extra out-of-pocket expenses and will protect consumers from having to pay more toward their care merely because they are in a family plan. Almost 98% of enrollees throughout the state are already in plans or policies that comply with this bill. Thus, the bill will provide important protections to those consumers who are not and have a small impact on the market. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 67, no 0. The measure passes. Moving to file item 288, AB 1319, the clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1319 by Assemblymember Dababneh, enacting into Medi-Cal.
Mr. Dababneh, you are recognized.
Mr. Speakers and members, AB 1390 will help seniors in board and care facilities provide for their basic needs. This bill raises a personal incidental needs exemption from $20 to $50 for medically needy only seniors who are residing in Medi-Cal nursing homes or community care facilities. Under the current amount, the $20, which is very, very small in comparison to other states like New York, Illinois, and Utah, which all offer over $100 a month to these same individuals. This is hardly enough to cover the cost of over-the-counter drugs, phone services, clothing, and other personal items such as hearing aid batteries and denture repairs that seniors need to live in a healthy environment. I respectfully ask for your aye vote and imagine asking everyone here, if you had to do this, could you live on $20 a day?
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll. Tally the votes. Ayes 69, no 0. The measure passes. Let's go to file item 289, AB 1353. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1353 by Assemblymember Patterson, enacting into highway rest areas.
Mr. Patterson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, AB 1353 removes an unfair and arbitrary surcharge currently imposed on blind vendors who service roadside rest areas under the Business Enterprise Program for the Blind. This bill has passed unanimously out of the Assembly's Transportation and Appropriations Committee this year and also passed unanimously out of this House last year, but it was held ultimately in the Senate. I would like to thank my colleagues for their continued support of the blind vendors in California, and I ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 68, noes 1. The measure passes. File item 290, AB 1369. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1369 by Assemblymember Frazier and others, enacting into special education.
Mr. Frazier, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 1369 seeks to ensure that our schools offer students with dyslexia the appropriate remediation before they fall behind in their academic achievement. I respectfully ask for your support on behalf of over the 5,500 parents statewide who have voiced their strong support for this bill.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 70, no 0. The measure passes. File item 291, AB 1378. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1378 by Assemblymember Holden, enacting relating to taxation to take effect immediately, tax levy.
Mr. Holden, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I rise to present Assembly Bill 1378. This measure recognizes the evolving nature of marital relations and living patterns of Californians by expanding eligibility of Proposition 6090 transfer. Base value transfers of property taxes are one of the few areas of law not amended to bring the rights and responsibilities of civil unions into line with marriages. Recognizing that all couples, regardless of sexual orientation, are moving more in retirement. AB 1378 expands existing law to provide one base value transfer per person in any state-recognized long-term relationship. This simple measure will help all California seniors, the silver tsunami, fixed income, handle the growing costs of housing, and to do so at a minimal cost to the state. This measure has received an overwhelming bipartisan support and has no known opposition. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Aye 69, no 0. The measure passes. File item 292, we've already dispensed with. File item 293 is my item, which we will pass over temporarily. Let's move to file item 294, AB 1440. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1440 by Assemblymember Nazarian and others, and act relating to earthquake loss mitigation.
Mr. Nazarian, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 1440 provides funding for continued and expanded implementation of this grant program, the Bolton Brace grant program. The program itself provides single-family homeowners and multi-residential property owners of 4 units or less with up to $3,000 to make the most basic but vital seismic improvements to the foundations of their homes. Brace and Bolt has been effective in helping hundreds of homeowners strengthen their buildings to lessen earthquake damage to their homes and save lives. This bill has received unanimous bipartisan support and has no registered opposition.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Aye 67, no 0. The measure passes. Colleagues, for a moment, let's go back to motions and resolutions. I'd like to recognize Mr. Holden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At the request of the author, please move the following bill to the inactive file. File item 11, AB 431 Gray.
The clerk will so note.
I request unanimous consent to permit the budget conferees and their alternatives, Assembly members Weber, Bloom, Gomez, Melendez, and Obanolti, to add their votes to roll call votes taken on this day if present while they attend Budget Conference Committee.
Without objection, this request is granted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Going back to the daily file, let's go to file item 295, AB 1453. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1453 by Assemblymember Rendon, and act relating to public utilities.
Mr. Rendon, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Existing PUC rules require that utilities maintain their electrical systems in underground vaults so as to secure the safety of workers in those vaults. This bill builds on that by requiring the PUC to adopt rules to ensure that equipment in underground vaults is de-energized by a qualified electrical worker before anyone works directly on that equipment. I introduced this bill to increase worker safety in underground vaults, specifically to reduce injuries and fatalities from electrocution. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Aye 68, no 0. The measure passes. Going to file item 296, AB 1463. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1463 by Assemblymember Gatto, and act relating to recycled water.
Assemblymember Gatto, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Assembly Bill 1463 would require the State Water Resources Control Board, in consultation with the Department of Public Health and the California Building Standards Commission, to develop standards for reusing gray water, rainwater, and other water at on-site locations. This is an important bill for the drought, and I ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Aye 68, noes 0. The measure passes. File item 297, AB 1465. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1465 by Assemblymember Gordon, and act relating to vehicles.
Mr. Gordon, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, Assembly Bill 1465 would help bring California-issued driver's licenses and our identification cards into compliance with the federal Real ID Act. Real ID established document requirements for state-issued driver's licenses, and one of those document requirements is proof of residency. If California does not comply with the federal Real ID program, it would mean that we could no longer use our driver's licenses to board a commercial aircraft or enter a federal building. Instead, Californians would be required to present a valid passport or two other forms of acceptable identification. I would note that AB 1465 will not change the current criteria for issue of a license pursuant to AB 60. I respectfully ask for an aye vote on AB 1465.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 68, no 0. The measure passes. Moving to file item 298, AB 1508. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1508 by Assemblymember Roger Hernandez, enacting into the underground economy.
Mr. Hernandez, you are recognized.
Mr. Speaker and members, Assembly Bill 1508 aims to address the underground economy and seeks to implement one recommendation from the recent Little Hoover Commission report. In March 2015, the Little Hoover Commission released a report entitled Level the Playing Field, Put California's Underground Economy Out of Business. The report made a number of findings and recommendations consistent with the recommendation from the Little Hoover Commission. AB 1508 requires the governor to designate an independent chief policy advisor for the underground economy. This advisor would evaluate our current efforts and make recommendations to the legislature and the governor. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the votes. Ayes 66, noes 2. The measure passes. Moving to file item 299, AB 1518. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1518 by the Committee on Aging and Long-Term Care, enacting in the Medi-Cal.
Ms. Brown, you are recognized to open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 1518 has received no votes. It's sponsored by the Disability Rights California. AB 1518 will help wean the state off the default and most expensive setting of long-term care in favor of less restrictive and less expensive home and community options by expanding the number of eligible participants under the nursing facility and acute hospital waiver. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing and hearing no further debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 70, no 0. The measure passes. Let's go to file item 300, AB 1519. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1519 by the Committee on Judiciary, enacting into family law.
Mr. Stone, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speakers. Members, this is the annual Judiciary Omnibus Bill that covers family law. It updates 3 sections that are non-controversial. I ask for your aye votes.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 71, no 0. Measure passes. Members, moving to file item 301, that's AB 1526. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1526 by the Committee on Aging and Long-Term Care, enacting into public health.
Ms. Brown, you may open.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. AB 1526 is a simple committee bill. It asks the Department of Public Health to expand the existing telephone survey conducted throughout the year about behaviors that impact public health, including important questions about caregiving. The caregiver module will help California establish a baseline data on issues that caregivers confront the most. As you may know, informal caregivers provide $48 billion worth of unpaid care each year. This information needs to be captured. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 70, no 0. Measure passes. File item 302, pass and retain. Members, we're going to move back in the file to file item 293. 293, this is AB 1429. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1429 by Assemblymember David Chu and others, enacting into earthquake loss mitigation.
Mr. David Chu, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. I appreciate your consideration of AB 1429, which will help to protect Californians and their property from earthquake damage. The possibility of a major earthquake is not academic nor a Hollywood movie. Over the next 30 years, the probability of a 6.7 earthquake is 99%, and it was recently reported that the chance of an 8.0 earthquake has almost doubled. The question is not if, but whether and when we will experience the big one. California currently has a pilot seismic mitigation incentive program called Earthquake Brace and Bolt. AB 1429 will expand Brace and Bolt by providing a framework for seismic retrofit grants to owners of multi-unit apartment buildings with low-income tenants so more Californians can live in safer homes. This bill is a complement to AB 1440, which we just voted on a few minutes ago, supported by our insurance commissioner, the California Apartment Association, the California Association of Realtors, and United Policyholders, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chu. See no discussion or debate on this item. Clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll and tally the vote. Ayes 71, no 0. Measure passes. And members, we've already dispensed with file item 303 on Senate third reading. Moving to the consent calendar. Members, no consent calendar today. Moving to announcements and adjournments in memory. All requests to adjourn in memory will be deemed read and printed in the journal. Announcements, members. Tomorrow, June 2nd, is the last day to submit amendments to the desk. If an author wishes to amend by Wednesday, June 3rd, amendments are due at the desk by 5 p.m. or before adjournment of session. Members, we've moved through 94 bills on the file today. The session schedule is as follows. Tuesday, June 2nd, floor session at 10 a.m. Wednesday, June 3rd, floor session at 10 a.m. Thursday, June 4th, floor session at 10 a.m. And Friday, June 5th, floor session at 10 a.m. Members, I've been asked to announce that there will be a picture taken upon adjournment of all of those participating in White Suit Day, or in my case, White Blazer Day. Look forward to that. Thank you for your participation. All other items remaining will be passed and retained. All motions shall be continued. Seeing and hearing no further business, I am ready to entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Holden moves, and Mr. Nazarian seconds that this House stands adjourned until Tuesday, June 2nd at 10 a.m. Quorum call is lifted.